What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, One Man's Walk. I am your host, Gamal, back at you with another one. So what do we have for you today? Dr. Dre, The Chronic. Let's deep dive right after this intro.
Clean your house music. You can clean too.
Welcome back. So like I said, let's deep dive into the Dr. Dre album, The Chronic. This is the first project that came out on Death Row. This is the first project after Dre had left NWA. This is the first project that introduced us to Snoop. This is the first project that introduced us to Corrupt, Daz, Rage. And so a lot to take in with this one. This was what really defined West Coast music for 4 or 5 years. And so ready to deep dive. And then with the halftime show coming up next week, and obviously with Dre, Snoop, Kendrick being part of the halftime show, Mary as well being a part of this halftime show, I figured, hey, it's a good time to go ahead and deep dive. And then for those who don't know, I am doing my 64 greatest hip hop albums ever, to me, my personal 64. And so I am prepping to do that sort of March Madness style with the brackets and everything. And so obviously the Chronic is definitely there, where it ranked, where it ends up being, you know, that's to watch and see. But definitely did want to talk about it. Before we go ahead and get into it, little housekeeping. If you guys have not already done so, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post bell notifications so that way you don't miss any of the content. If you see behind me, that's the Benny the Butcher, the single for the Benny the Butcher and J. Cole. That review is up. Feel free to check that out. Stay tuned as well. Now the reason to subscribe, stay tuned, as we will be getting the Doggy Style and Good Kid Mad City. I definitely will be reviewing those, and we'll be getting those out this week and next week. So definitely stay tuned for that as well. So let's deep dive. As you guys know, I like to bring out the props so you guys know it's real. Now, I did go back later on in life and purchase the CD. This is actually the clean version as well. But growing up, I had the cassette tape. Came out in 1992. I was 10 years old. I remember being super hyped, saving up my money, going to the store with my dad to pick it up. We go to the store. I think it was Sam Goody. I don't know. I think it was Sam Goody. But we leave out of there and I'm like, can I play it in the car, Dad? And he was like, yeah, sure. Why not? I didn't even realize, I didn't notice it. My dad doesn't curse. I don't curse. I didn't notice that there was a parental advisory explicit content sticker on there, right? So I give the CD to my dad. As a 10-year-old, he pops it in. This intro plays. Snoop is just cursing up a storm. My dad is looking at me. I'm nervous, like, oh crap, I'm about to be in trouble. My dad turns around and looks at me and was like, what is this? And I was like, I didn't know. Like, I legitimately didn't know that the CD was going to be like that. I mean, I'm new to rap. Again, I tell people all the time, the first rap song I ever heard was 2 Live Crew, Me So Horny, back on the box, for those who remember the box. And then Dr. Dre, The Chronic, is the first rap album I ever purchased. And then I actually did not purchase another rap album until, 2 years? So I bought that in 92, and then I don't remember buying another one until Keith Murray, Most Beautifulest. I remember buying the Keith Murray, the Big Ready to Die, and the Nas Illmatic. I think I bought the Scarface Diary too. So those right there, like whatever order, those were like the next albums I bought. The Diary, Ready to Die, Most Beautifulest Thing in the World, Illmatic, somewhere in that order. But man, I remember that intro. I was sweating bullets. Like, man, my dad, he took the cassette tape. He was like, you're not getting this back. It was months before I was able to hear what the actual CD cassette tape sounded like, because I had to find it You know, like he had hit it. And then like when he'd be at work and I'd come home from school early, I would sneak it in the room real fast, put on my headphones with my little walkie-talkie and, you know, play it and then have to put it back in the same spot until, you know, reached a point where he was like, whatever, and then let me play it. But I remember that and I was like, this is crazy. So let's go ahead and dive in. We don't have to play the intro. You guys got a feel of what I was going through with the intro. Let's go right into the first song, which is actually the second single, the Dre Day record. This beat is nuts. It has like that really classic West Coast like keys. I love this. So I know you got your get. So I'll say this, a couple things with this one. So off the break, definitely this is a classic song. This is a classic diss track. The only problem I have with this record, right? And when you get to the part where Dre's like, I felt I was a mark because I used to hang with Easy. That to me gives off vibes of like, sort of like when you were in a relationship with somebody and you no longer with that person and all of a sudden they're like the worst person to you and now you just badmouth them and you trash them and this and that. But more than likely they were probably that same person already, but you didn't have a problem with it when you were cool. But all of a sudden you're not cool anymore and all these flaws start coming up, right? And then when you start talking bad about them like that, I'm always thinking like, that kind of said, does that say more about them or more about you? Because you look past all of those things before. You feel he was a mark now? Why? Because y'all not cool anymore? Like, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. It's still a fire record. This is a all-time classic song. But every time I hear that and I think of that, I just think of like people when they're in relationships. I'm not saying those two were dating and nothing like that, but when people are in relationships and you're no longer with a person, now all of a sudden it's just bad mouthing them and this and that and this and that. Like you could not like a person anymore and still not have to trash them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You spend a better part of your life with an individual or whatever amount of time with them to turn around and just trash them sounds crazy to me. But you know, who am I, right? But the record is fired. Of course, Snoop is like instigating on here, but he sounds so good. I mean, this entire CD, and I hadn't played this in a really long time. Like everything about this just reminds me like, man, Snoop was that guy. You know what I mean? 92, 93, 94, you know, Snoop was that guy. Like his flow, his delivery, his cadence, his confidence, his style, everything about it was just so refreshing. You know what I mean? And especially we got a glimpse of that from the Deep Cover soundtrack and the song they got Deep Cover. But then when we got more of him, this is almost just like Cuban links. Like I feel like Raekwon did the same thing with Ghostface, right? It's Raekwon only built for Cuban links featuring Ghostface, introducing Ghostface. And I feel like Master P did that a lot with a lot of No Limit CDs where you would have featuring all these people on it, because when you look at this Chronic CD, what is it? Introducing Snoop and the Death Row inmates, DOC, Corrupt, Jewel, Nate, Rage, Daz, so on and so forth. And I feel like obviously the CD, yes, is a Dre CD, but it really is the introduction to Snoop, and Snoop really carries the CD. You know what I mean? But this next song right here, Let Me Ride, which is also just absolutely amazing. I love I'm Jamaican. I love the intro. This is another one. This beat. So this is one of the few songs, if I'm correct, this is the only song that does not feature someone else. Meaning, I mean, obviously, like the hook has someone else on it, but as far as like a rapper, Snoop isn't on here, Corrupt, Daz, RBX, DOC, like nobody else is on here except for Dre. And he does a really good job of carrying this record. I think the hook is amazing, and when it switches off, it's nuts to me. The video for this was so dope. I love the video. The part always used to stick out to me, besides the scene where he's like puts his hands up in the air. and you could see like, you know, feel like all of like the hood is behind him. The part where Cube comes out, like all the girls come out, and then Cube like randomly comes out the girls' bathroom too, and he was like, yeah, like it was a good day. I think it was a good day. It was around this time or something like that. And so those are two things that always stand out to me. And back then I didn't know that, you know, NWA, and I didn't know Snoop. And again, my family's Jamaican. I've said it before. I think on the Big Daddy Kane KRS-One recap that I did for the verses, everyone was like, really good verses. I like it, but you know, how did you not listen to this music growing up? And I'm like, well, my entire family's Jamaican. I married a DC girl. My wife was from DC, this lovely lady, Kristen, but the majority of my family is Jamaican on both sides and marries Jamaican. And so growing up, you know what I mean? You asked me about Ninja Man and Yellow Man, and you asked me about Bob and all these different artists, Barris Hammond and Sanchez, and you know what I mean? Dennis. I can give you that. I know that. That's what I grew up on, but I didn't grow up on rap until, you know what I mean, I was like 10, 11, 12 was when I started to, you know, grasp and gravitate towards rap. So I didn't know anything about Snoop, Dre and Cube and whatever. I didn't realize they had been in a group before. I was just like, oh, that's the guy from It Was a Good Day. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was really cool. But this right here, I love this. Like, I love this record. This is definitely one of my favorites on here.
Check this out. The sun went down when I hit Slauson on my way to the strip.
Now I'm just flossing.
Checking my rear view, cause what they will do. Jack moves, black fools, cause I smack fools. These hoes keep grinning, I be rolling in my 6-4.
That's all Snoop did.
What everybody's saying.
I love this part. That was nice. I do take that back. So Snoop was on it at rolling in my 6-4, and he did say that a couple times in the video, and then just like randomly was popping up and stuff. So, but Dre really carried it as the rapper per se. But that's a fire record. The next one is cool. The Day the Dudes Took Over. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's kind of grown on me. I remember growing up, I really didn't care for it. And on cassette tape, I used to just forward it, because the next record obviously is Thang. But with this record, I have a feeling about it sort of like Nas is coming. Like, for those of you who watched me on the Nas Magic recap or the Nas It Was Written recap, both of those are up there. Check those out. Nas Is Coming is the only record on Nas It Was Written that I was not fond of, that I didn't like on the entire CD. And a lot of people in the comments were, thank you all for being in the comments as well, but a lot of people in the comments were like, hey, you know, this record is hot, you need to give it a try, blah, blah, blah. And I went back and I listened. Obviously, the common denominators, Dre did both of them. But I'm like, it's cool. It was much better than I remember it being. It's still not a favorite of mine. It's not a complete skip as I once thought it was. Still not one of my favorites, but it was better, right? And this record as well has grown on me. It's still cool. Now that I have a CD, I still skip it, right? But it's not bad, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So we're not going to give much love to it. We're going to go right to what is probably a top. This has to be a top 5, top 10 at the least, top 5 at the most. Best record ever in rap.
1, 2, 3, and 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door.
Like, everything about this, right? And we don't really have to play this because we know this, right? But Snoop's flow, his delivery, everything I was saying earlier, everything about this video lets us know it gave us Cali. Like, for those of us who had never been to California, since then I've been to California a ton of times. I do enjoy it. It's a great state and whatnot. But at that point in time, I had never been to California. I'm a New York kid. I had not been there. And so all I could go by was what the video showed, or what Menace showed, or Boys in the Hood, or the movies that I saw Friday. Well, Friday wasn't out at this time, but you get what I'm saying. And so being able to see what the Thang video was, and just like a day for them, just riding around, having fun, the cookout, the after party, the house party, like all the different things. It was just really really fun to watch. It was a fun video. It looked like it was probably super fun to record. Really enjoyable. And it was like, it was really nice. But Snoop on here, man, he just, in that window, 91, counting the deep cover, through 94, 95, man, Snoop had to be in your top 3 rappers. Like, he had to be in your top 3. What are we saying? Snoop, at that point in time, or top 5, what are we saying? Snoop, Nas, Big, Meth. Who am I missing? Snoop, Nas, Big, Meth, like 91 to 94. I want to say, yeah, those are probably the guys. Snoop, Meth, Big, Nas. If I'm missing somebody, let me know. Put in the comments. I could be missing somebody not thinking. But off the top of my head, those were probably the guys. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, it was maybe Face. But I don't know if people were holding Face in that light. Like, Scarface was dope. And The Diary was nuts. I don't know if I'll do The Diary, but The Diary is obviously it's definitely in my top 64. But I don't know if Face was in there. Like, I think retroactively we go back and we say Face is one of those guys, but I don't remember in a moment the buzz for Face like that. So, but you know, if I'm wrong, let me know. Throw in the comments. Maybe it's Cube. Maybe it's Cube. I don't know. Let me know. But Thang, we don't have to spend a ton of time on the next record, the DeeZ Nuts joint. I do love this beat. See those chords? Like, that is the signature West Coast chords. Like those synths and those. Snoop, man. Nate Dogg. I do want to speed up a little bit to Dre. Nate Dogg is the originator of what we later got. Now, obviously, we're not even Johnny Boy as well, right? Even though he only had like a short run with Death Row, but Nate Dogg is the creator of what eventually is what Devin the Dude was doing. Shout out to Devin the Dude. Loved his music for a long time. T-Pain is a newer iteration of that. Just an individual who kind of croons on records. It's not singing per se, but it's like such a smooth croon and so distinctive in what it is that they do and how they went about doing it, that they just change a complete trajectory of a record. And that's what Nate did. Nate Dogg changed the complete trajectory of every record he was on. He was, when you heard his part, whether it's this, whether it's Ain't No Fun, whether it's Next Episode, These Days, whatever it is, like, he steps on a record and completely just, you know, like him at the end of All About You, like, he just comes on a record and just shifts the energy completely. I feel like T-Pain did that during T-Pain's run. Like, he just shifted the energy. I feel like on a smaller scale, but the same thing, Devin the Dude, you go back and you listen to the My Homie Scarface double disc, or you listen to the Odd Squad, or you listen to even the Next Episode CD, The Chronic 2001, and how Devin is on there. Like, I feel like Devin was in that pocket and doing a similar thing. But Nate Dogg, man, rest in peace, was just an amazing talent. Absolutely amazing talent. This next record, I really wish there was actually more of this on the CD. This reflective, I really wish there was more of this. That show not just like, hey, the gangster side, the gang life and all the notoriety and the glamorizing of that type of lifestyle, as much as showing the danger of it, the sad parts of it. And I personally love hearing that side, because sometimes we don't want to always just show people one side. You got to be able, my bishop always says that you you can't give people don't have a choice if they don't see two sides of it. And if they only see one side, it's not really a choice. You got to give people two sides so that way they can choose. And so I really like this. I really wish there was more of this on the CD. It's not, but this is a standout record for sure. This record is absolutely amazing. And it also has the big sample that's in here as well. That's on the big Ready to Die, the first song, Things Done Changed. That's the sample, that's where it came from. But that record is fire. The next record, the dude End With A Gun. When I heard it, I always thought of this. Yes, I do have this. The Who's the Man? I swear, now I have not watched this movie in a super long time. Don't hold me to it, but I feel like the Who's the Man, even though it's a New York movie, is pulling a little bit from that. Like, I feel like that Who's the Man plays in here at some point. If it doesn't, let me know. It's been a super long time since I played this. I don't even have a DVD player down here in the basement where I record these. I'd have to go upstairs and watch it. I don't even know if I am, but let me know. But every time I hear that, that's what I think of, is that Who's the Man, which is why I brought it out. And Who's the Man came out in 93, which is a year after 92, obviously, but it's a year after The Chronic came out. And with The Chronic being so culturally influential, I can understand how there's a possibility that a movie could have been drafted out of that. And obviously the premise and the concept of what the movie's about is nothing like, it's not that per se, but that vibe. This right here was actually my favorite record on the CD that was not one of these singles. This right here is nuts. This Rat-a-tat-tat. This intro, this part is what Cannabis used on his first song, the one about his mom from his first CD, the Can I Bust CD. That was this is what he sampled. But this right here is nuts. Snoop is just on this one part, but he sounds this was nuts. Like, and I know I just said the little Ghetto Boys is I wish there was more of that, and I do, but this was done so well. Like, this was done so well, a record. I don't know how many times I played that one back. That's probably definitely my favorite record on here, or one of. We're gonna skip all of the skits. The skits are cool. I don't really want to dive into any of that. It's cool. This Lyrical Gangbang, this and High Power, to me, I really treat them as like one record. It feels like a continuation. But I do want to say, with this, Rage and Corrupt's verses were nuts. Now, obviously, I think Rage had the best verse, but I think Corrupt had the best flow. And people who know me know I have not been the biggest Corrupt fan. Like, he's cool. He's not typically somebody I typically listen to, but going back and listening to this, I loved how his flow and his cadence, his delivery continually switched. Like, I think he switched his flow like 3 different times. He even sped it up a little bit, which I don't. And again, I'm not a big Corrupt guy, so I don't know. Maybe this is something he does pretty frequently. But in the records that I'm used to hearing from him, I don't remember his flow switching as many times as this one did. It did switch a lot, and I thought it was really dope. I do think still though, because I remember growing up and being like, man, who is this Rage lady? Man, who is Rage? And I remember when the video, I think it's on the Let Me Ride video at the very beginning, they do the 20 sack pyramid thing, which we just skipped. And I remember thinking, is that girl Rage? You know, like wanting to see who was she, because her lyrics were so tough. But yeah, Rage got it in. And again, like High Power, which actually, this is the only song that blended into High Power, Lyrical Gangbang. So that's why I'm like, to me, they feel like the same one. Bring it up a little bit. This right here, I feel like that played in Friday. That's really all I got on that. I feel like that played on Friday. Let me know if I'm wrong. I feel like there's a scene in Friday where that's playing. I could be wrong, but let me know. Or maybe I'm just thinking like as he's walking in the Let Me Ride video, maybe that's what it is. As he's walking to pick out an outfit and he opened up the closet and everything was the same black khakis and black Dickies and Carhartt shirts. Maybe that's where it played. But I remember hearing the instrumental in the hallway scene. I just thought it was Friday, but maybe it's that. You guys let me know in the comments. We're going to skip again like the intro. Stranded on Death Row. This is a really fire record. The most surprising thing to me about this one was Bushwick Bill. Like, I was like, what? Now, again, off the break, I didn't recognize it as Bushwick Bill the first time I'm playing this because I was not familiar with Mind Playing Tricks at that moment. But when I got hip to Mind Playing Tricks and then going back and hearing this record and being like, that sounds like Bushwick. And then my homeboy had the Ever So Clear or Everclear or whatever the Ever CD was that Bushwick Bill had put out. And so I was familiar with his voice and his work and stuff like that. Hearing this record, and again, Snoop really got off on it. Snoop was his verse was ridiculous, as it should be, because he was the best thing that came out of this project. Going back and listening, the only thing I think was missing from this record is Scarface. Like, we got Bushwick Bill talking. Would have been cool to get a rap, but it would have been nice. This song sounds like this was, obviously we couldn't because it's Stranded on Death Row, so all of this is supposed to be Death Row artists, but because Bushwick Bill is there randomly, it would have been cool to get Face on here. It ain't nothing but a black thing, baby, but I'm just sagging. The D-O-double-G, spelling out the name and all that. This sing-songy flow he has, like when you hear like how, you know, the Drakes and the Jaws and the Nellies and the 50s, to the degree, the 50 I love is Gangsta 50, but kind of do this sing-songy-ish flow to it. You can go back and kind of study and be like, man, this early Snoop, we talking Chronic, we talking Doggy Style, Deep Cover Snoop, really gave us a good sing-songy flow delivery that I think a lot of rappers capitalized on. Now, he was doing it with gangster music, sort of. You know, the person I can remember that I can think on top of my head who does it like that, Fiend from No Limit fame. Shout out to Fiend. I did do a recap of that as well for his latest project, or one from last year, but he was the one that kind of orchestrated that sing-songy flow, and then the other rappers went and did it and then took it more commercial as far as more girl records and pop records, where Snoop was doing it still on gangster records. But it's nice, man, how he was getting down. And then the last song is the Bees record, and again Snoop shines on this as well. Used to be all in them guts like every day. Well, it's so much cursing, so I guess we do. But I like the story he told. It was, you know, nice little storytelling. We don't really get storytelling Snoop anymore. So those, you know, just even hearing Snoop like that, even with all the cursing, which was, you know, unnecessary, but being able to get storytelling Snoop, we don't even get that anymore. But it was the CD. I will say this. I think as a whole, going back and playing it, it's a lot better sounding to me now than it was back then. Like, it was cool. I from the moment I heard Doggy Style, which I think is the better CD, I loved Doggy Style and thought Doggy Style was the best work that Death Row had ever put out. I know a lot of people hold The Chronic in high regard. I like it. It sounds much better to me today than it did back then. But I definitely still don't think it's better than Doggy Style or the best record that came out of Death Row. But the records that hit really hit to me. And as you could tell by the review, it's not like I said, hey man, this record is bad. I mean, I could do without the skits. But as a whole, the CD was much better than I remember it being. And so shout out to that. I will say that. If that triggered people, hey, I don't know what to tell you. But I am giving it credit. It does have some really hot records on here. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Didn't want to speed run too much, but I kind of want to just get through doing one of the most iconic, it is still iconic, rap CDs to ever come out. One of the most influential rap CDs to ever come out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing where it ranks in the top 64. And not only where it ranks, it'll probably have a high seed. Let's not front, right? It'll probably be a 1 or 2 seed. But then seeing where it ultimately ends up and doesn't make it all the way to the top. So as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed, productive, stress-free day, weekday, weekend, whenever you're listening, however you're listening. I thank you for listening. Till next time.